Welcome to the HiFi Critics Summer Stormin'. Let's open up the mailbox here.
Is the letter hot? Does the letter come out with heat from that? You know,
It does. It comes in hot.
Comes in hot. Comes in hot. In an iconic mid-'80s advertisement, Andreas Agassi said, "Image is everything. From the present to the past, this host says, thank you for the thunderstorm you have unleashed upon modern society. Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, and The Donald personify the effects of that devastating mentality shift. But they aren't the only residual waste of the image generation. 8 years after the Weather Channel successfully pulled society out of the dark ages by naming winter storms, and we all remember Winter Storm Havana, the Extreme Heat Resilience Alliance is pushing to save children and the elderly. Remember, children and the elderly are being saved by naming summer heat waves. Since the Earth is currently experiencing one of its very natural 10,000-year warming cycles, this is a cost-effective, practical idea that can save Miami from becoming the 21st century Atlantis. Would Bernie Sanders support this progressive idea of naming summer heat waves in order to save Macaulay Culkin's grandchildren?" Madison, Wisconsin.
I think, the clear answer.
Do you understand the question?
I do understand the question. Thank you very much. I appreciate the amount of times that both of you check in to see whether or not I'm grasping the situation.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
We care.
I think we fear what we don't understand, right?
like wearing masks.
The best way to understand something is to give it a name. And if we give something a name and we understand it, that means we no longer need to fear it. And I'm all for saving children and the elderly. And I think that if we give names to a heat wave, we're gonna save lives. And there's nothing I want more than to prevent Miami from boiling into the sea. So
Do you remember Winter Storm Havana?
no, I don't, but it's an aptly named winter storm.
Okay, just checking.
That was pre my care about weather. You guys really integrated with me with the care about weather.
So, I'm just going to come out. I don't know. I'm going to answer the question that I want to answer. And I think
Typical.
naming a winter storm and a heat wave are two idiotic things done by the lamestream media to get advertising, excitement, and hype, so they can,
people are going to buy T-shirts about Winter Storm Havana,
so they can tune in and be afraid and watch the Weather Channel or Weather America, whatever, because it's competing Weather Channel, and they could watch these idiots out there on the beach. Here comes heat wave this. Let's talk to
like the people on the top of the tower in Independence Day waiting for the aliens to come in.
It's just a matter of time before, if he hasn't done it, Jim Cantori is out there waiting for a heat wave or talking to people. Hey, it feels like 105. What do you feel? Like, what are you doing at home? Is your AC working? It's just adding, it's already bad enough with hurricanes, but I understand with hurricanes because it can be multiple at the same time. And you're being tracked for weeks on end from the time they get to, and let's talk to Atlantic hurricane season, from the time they get from the the shores of Africa to, say, the Bahamas, the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Miami, North Carolina. That takes like 10 days, and there could be storm number 1, there could be storm number 2 behind it. But naming a heat wave because somebody's sweating and they're sitting in St. Louis and it's 105 degrees from St. Louis, from Arkansas to Minneapolis. Now we're just trying to fill time. And I think we've had a previous segment about alternate networks and what is happening, and I still stand with the same opinion. We've become a culture that we have to fill 24 hours of time. Back in the golden days, there was the news at 6:30 if you were in the East Coast, 5:30 Central. You sat there, you got your news from Dan Rather, or you got the weather, unless something bad happened. Now we have not one, but 2 channels dedicated to 24/7 weather. They have to talk about something in order to fill that time and have advertising. So what's next? Oh, let's hype up a winter storm. Okay, I get a winter storm, I'm against it, but I get it. The heat wave, come on. Now you basically exposed your hand.
So Ramon, you are against the idea that children and the elderly get more awareness about this extreme weather event coming? You're against the children and the elderly? You want them just to die? Do you want?
No, I
Is
mean,
that what you're saying?
if we had a DeLorean and went back in time to what year was that Chicago heat wave? 95.
95.
Yeah, and we named it, Daily. Hey, heat storm Daily's coming at you. It would
Yeah.
not have made a difference. Are
What if
people
they?
were-
But
are people
they
wearing
know
masks?
5 days in advance that there's going to be a heat wave.
Are
Tom
people-
Skilling might even know 7 days in advance. So to get people aware, so that they go out and get their air conditioning fixed, maybe they head up to Wisconsin to get out of the heat, or they go get a big bucket of ice and just pour it on their head to keep
Yeah.
cool. That's going to help save lives. I don't understand
Would
why.
you be more apt for it if they named it Heat Wave Charlie?
Are you calling to me or asking who? You're asking me?
I'm asking you. I'm wondering, would you care more about it if it was Heat Wave Charlie? Is it because they
don't-
haven't named anything after you?
It's not a matter of me caring. The question is,
Jealousy.
does giving something a
It is
name
jealousy.
make you care? And that's a very childhood mentality. They teach kids, to name their toys, like Mr. Bean, Mr. Something, because they care more. That doesn't happen.
Did you name your dog?
Yeah, my dog has a name.
And do you care about your dog?
I don't think the name affects how I care about a dog. It's a living creature. I care about all living creatures.
But you care
Okay,
about
the
names for
name or
hurricanes.
unnamed. But it's hot. I don't need to know, hey, heat storm, Savannah.
It's all about advance warning, Charles. That's what you were talking about with the hurricanes, and that's what we're talking about here. It's not about the fact that there could be 3 in the Atlantic at one time.
Oh,
It's about, hey, there's a serious life-threatening emergency coming, and it's a heat wave. I don't understand why you're so against this.
yeah, because I think it's just, this is just hype, needless hype. This is the media setting itself up to be called fake news, right? When you hype something so much and you're wrong or something is off, you open yourself to fake news attack. Calling a winter storm that might impact, 35% of the nation. Okay, that's a slippery slope, no pun intended, but you're getting close. Naming a heat wave because I'm hot in Chicago and it's hot in Illinois and St. Louis, and we have to
But the
warn
heat
people.
wave moves. It moves from the West Coast to the middle of
Oh,
the country.
wow.
It hangs for 3 days. Then
And
it goes to New York.
You know what? Guess what?
those-
It's hot in Maine today. It's also hot in Death Valley. Do they get a heat storm over there? A heat wave name?
Probably.
could.
They should.
I mean,
No,
they live in
that's a-
Death Valley.
That's a different heat wave than we're going to get in the Midwest.
Yeah, there are a lot of names. We can name things anything we want to. That's the beauty. And I still stand by my truth, not my idea, not my opinion, but my truth, that naming something takes away its power. And I want to take away the power of the heat wave.
Boom. Listen to that. Tony Robbins,
I'm
loving
not
it.
even. I'm not sure that I'm gonna let that one simmer.
You don't
No
have to
pun- no
know.
pun
You just
intended.
have to
Simmer in the
feel.
heat.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut my AC down and just sit here and sweat and be like, well, I'm gonna name that event. When I shut the AC off. Hey, that was the event called Steve. Remember when Steve happened because I got mad and shut the AC off and I wanted to get mad? That's what naming a heat wave feels like.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Feel
but
it.
only, yeah.
Yeah, let's just
You gotta-
name everything.
Well, that's the closing question. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So the closing question is, in the spirit of branding natural events, and by the way, we all know that what was it called? The Extreme Heat Resilience Alliance is doing God's work in saving the elderly and little children, unlike one of our panelists here.
Yeah.
In the spirit of branding natural events, what do you predict is the next naturally occurring event to be named and why? Let's go to Paul Ryan.
I'm assuming that's me.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a good assumption.
avalanches.
Oh, that's a good one.
Avalanches kill more people than lions. And as everyone knows, we've oftentimes named lions. And so we should name avalanches. It's very clear.
All right.
Happens all the time. Happens more often than you'd think.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough names.
I'm really impacted by that phenomena.
Didn't say that it had to impact you, just said I had to name it.
Yeah. I think this only leads to one conclusion, and they already have a borderline name, but we're gonna just be naming everything earthquakes, Earthquakes right now have a very simple name. The San Andreas Fault earthquake, this earthquake. They're gonna start calling them like Michael. Earthquake Michael happened today. It was a 3.5. This is an aftershock of Michael, not an aftershock of Steve. So these earthquakes. So earthquakes is the next thing that I think they're gonna give real cute.
And how affected are you by earthquakes? You totally slammed me for not being affected by avalanches.
As far as I know, I'm no geologist here, but I believe that we actually sit in one of the largest faults in the North American plate that goes all the way from Illinois through Missouri, and it actually has been active the last few years. And there was an earthquake about 3 years ago that everybody but me felt, and so I believe
I didn't feel it. I don't know what you're talking about.
My dog felt it, but people in Oklahoma felt it, people I knew in Missouri felt it, and we felt it in other parts of. Somebody in Lincoln Park that I know, not on this call, said they felt the earthquake. So that's an active. I would say I'm probably more affected by an earthquake than an avalanche.
So are you okay with one of these alliances naming earthquakes?
No, this is just giving things more hype. Earthquake Michael, hey, Earthquake Michael just happened. Call 911 or stay away from down power lines. But again, Jim Cantore will be out there with his blue windbreaker or wearing shorts and his sleeves rolled up on his hat, telling me what's happening.
All right. Well, I appreciate that you stuck to your guns and you admitted that you don't like it, even though you played the game. So thank you for playing the game.
Hey,
I'm gonna go. What I think is that it needs to be something that is a warning. So that's why I don't like earthquakes, because it's only after the fact that that it happened, and you're kind of just naming something that happened.
But depending on the earthquake, you have a large period of aftershocks and cleanup, right? So you can be talking about, hey, we're cleaning up earthquake Michael, right?
Yeah, but when does earthquake Michael end if the aftershocks go on for 22
when
years?
Does the heat wave end?
Make any sense.
The heat wave
it's clear.
Moving.
Winter.
Yeah.
Winter.
Oh, well, I guess we only talk about we only talk about the northern hemisphere then, right? The heat wave doesn't keep
And I guess avalanches are out of there because they start.
The southern hemisphere has winter too. It's just called summer. So anyway, so it's got to be something that is coming, something that the benefit of naming these things is so that you can save the elderly and children. Let's keep repeating that, the elderly and children. That's
so you can save tens of lives.
Tens of lives. So something that hasn't been named yet that I believe is dangerous enough to warrant creating names to give people time to know so they can run for their lives would be the derecho. The derecho is very predictable. Tom Skilling nailed the one on August 10th, as we all know. It was kind of one up here too, actually, in the northern part of Wisconsin. The word itself is hard to pronounce from people like myself who aren't from the islands, as some of you are. Society can't live with things like the flat corn derecho. We can't call it that. If you actually Google derecho, you'll see things like flat corn derecho or the Southern Great Lakes derecho of 1998. No, sir. I think that if we name them, we could do something like Derecho Puppy Mill took out a row of Asian beetle ash trees in River West last year. Now all we got is dandelions and tumbleweeds. So I think that derecho is the thing that should be named, and they can get really creative with these names.
Just like you.
They can release them at the beginning of the year, go through the alphabet,
Yeah,
retire names when the storm's really big. Like yesterday's derecho, or the 10th derecho should be retired, right? There was a tornado in Rogers Park,
Yeah, but you can't retire August 10th. You got to give it a name so that it lives on forever.
Yeah, you got to always remember. Right? I said that's
never
the whole
forget.
Thing.
Always remember.
Always remember. So August 10th. Where were you when August 10th happened?
Yep.
Huddled in my bathroom.
Sitting
crying.
Disappointed, trying to stream.
No, I was dry-eyed, but
sitting watching the news, waiting to see what would happen. Nothing happened. Not at least, not to me. Maybe a tree went down and the internet went down for a couple hours, but in the grand scheme of things.
All right. So what do you want to see named? What do you think should be named? And if it's named, would you actually call it? Because I didn't hear our friend from Wisconsin actually talk about the winter storm names that he's actually used, but that's for a different segment here.
Avalanche names?
Or avalanche names. You didn't give an example of one. Let us know in the comments section below what you think should be named. Bye-bye.